Alright, we're drawing close to this series where we've been discussing the importance of numbers in purpose pursuit. We've seen that purpose is always in the invisible realm, but then at the end of the day, it is what makes things tangible. You see things around you, and those things were in the invisible realm. They were in the purpose realm first. When people talk about purpose, they normally think of the woo-woo, the spiritual, the intangible, the invisible things, and rightfully so, because we live in both areas. We live in both scenarios. We live in the invisible and we also live in the visible. The things that we transmute from the invisible are the things that become the tangible. And one of the ways that we can make our purpose to be tangible and to be realistic is to use numbers, to attach numbers to that purpose. And so let us start looking at the kind of numbers that we can be able to see in our purpose pursuit, even as we come to a close of this series. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Well, at the end of the day, there is no purpose that will come to fruition and to reality unless the numbers are attached to it. And purpose is not just some woo-woo spiritual religious thing that, only the mystique, Eastern religious mystique people normally look at. But purpose is an all-encompassing thing. It is for every human being. Every human being has some kind of purpose that they are pursuing and some kind of reason as to why they're existing. You cannot tell me that there is only the reason for eating and drinking and sleeping and paying bills and dying. That cannot be the reason for why the human is existing. The human is above every other species. The other species, they do what I've just mentioned. They eat, they sleep, they drink, apart from the fish, they hunt, and then they die. That's their lifespan. But the human, no. The human has a different proposition. The human develops things. The human builds futures, creates futures. The human is in charge of managing the environment, is in charge of being fruitful, multiplying, filling the earth, subduing it, and so on. And that is where purpose begins. It begins from the beginning. It begins from the way everything was begun. There was a reason behind everything beginning, and there's going to be a reason as to why everything is going to come to a close. Whatever the case, purpose is in the middle of all that stuff. And in 2012, I predicted on my blog that purpose is going to become the big thing. It's going to be the next biggest revolution, because at the end of the day, technology will just be an enabler. Technology will just release people to do their best, which is to think about their purpose and to do their purpose. Alright, but then in 2016 I came across a very interesting article by Harvard Business Review. Actually, it was written by Times Magazine, and it published an article titled "Companies with a Purpose Beyond Profit Tend to Make More Money." And this article laid bare a study conducted by the Harvard Business Review, which was done by the EY Beacon in conjunction with the EY Beacon Institute. And in essence, they concluded that those companies able to harness the power of purpose to drive performance and profitability enjoy a distinct competitive advantage. See, purpose is in the middle of all these things. And I'm reading a book by a guy, I forgot his name, But in the same book, they talk about the same thing, that in the days that are coming, and even today, very many people are looking for organizations that are purpose-oriented. They want to work in purpose-oriented organizations and so on. And that's why I am saying that as much as anyone who will discover their purpose, they are able to convert that purpose into profit. But that can never be done if numbers are not involved. It can never be done if you don't attach your purpose to some kind of numbers. So I'm going to start talking about just a few types of numbers, maybe 3 types or 4 kinds of numbers that we are supposed to talk about, even as your purpose is coming to fruition and you want to stay tuned for these ones. It's things we already know. It's not some foreign things. These numbers, we know them. The question is, how do we apply them, or are we applying those numbers into the equation of our purpose? But let me start by saying this, that there are 2 types of numbers in general. There are the numbers that you attach to the purpose before you can even get started, immediately after you have discovered what the purpose is. And then there are numbers that you attach to the purpose after you have started, to help you to track your purpose, to help you to make sure that you are on the straight and you're on the narrow, you are producing, and so on and so forth. The numbers that you get before the purpose begins are always in the visionary mode. You've already discovered what the purpose is, but now you go into the visionary mode and you start projecting these kinds of numbers. Alright, so the first type of numbers that I'm going to talk about today are duration numbers. So let's just talk about dates numbers. Alright, those ones are numbers, and perhaps these are the most, maybe they're not the most, but all of these numbers are very important. But these numbers are very critical. The duration and date numbers, they're very critical. We've already talked about this in some kind of we're just passing through in one of these episodes. It is possible for anyone to come up with a vision. In fact, it is possible for me to sit down with anyone, and within a few hours, less than 2 hours, you already know what your vision is. In fact, I would bet that people already know the kind of direction that they want to take. It's just that it's not clear. My work is just to make sure it's clear. People already know where they want to go, what they want to do, what they would rather do. In fact, people know what they would rather not do, which tells you that they have a hint of what they would rather do. It is easy. The problem is this, that once people have discovered what their purpose is, they never get to the level where they get started. There's a long time lapse that passes. Actually, people have had purpose, discovered, and 10 years down the line, they have done absolutely nothing about it. You know why? Because they don't have the numbers, the necessary duration and date numbers attached to that particular purpose. You need some numbers in terms of duration for that particular purpose. And 2 types of numbers are needed. First, you need to find out how much time do you have to bring that vision to fruition. And of course, you will not know for sure. You will not nail down that number to a mathematical conclusion. But remember what this man called John F. Kennedy did? He said we must go to the moon in this decade. He didn't just say we must go to the moon and leave it at that. If he had just said that, maybe we would have had a lot of time to sit back and recoil and say, okay, we don't have the technology to do this, we cannot go, and so on. But he said in a space of 10 years, he attached that vision of going to the moon to 10 years. And that's why they did that particular vision in that space of time. You will need to find out what age you will be by the time that vision comes to pass. And nothing creates urgency in you like this part. Okay? What is the number in terms of the duration? What is the duration going to look like? In fact, by the way, the other number that you need to find out the date number is, when do you start? Perhaps this is even much more powerful than the duration. When do you start? Your vision is to build life signatures universities across Africa. When do you start? With what can you start? Can you start by creating a curriculum? Can you start with talking to someone and so on? When do you get the ball rolling? When do you stop the dreaming and get started? When do you draw a line in the sand? Very many people have visions. Very many people have purpose statements out there. But when do you draw the line in the sand that says, this is the launch date? Once you know the launch date, then it is easy for that vision to start clothing itself in its physical equivalent. Nothing creates urgency in you like knowing the start date and like knowing the amount of time that it's going to take. So sit down and discuss that particular number. Sit down and discuss that particular number. I don't care what project it is that you want to do. I don't care what dream it is that you have. I don't care what vision it is. I don't care what statement of purpose it is that you have. Sit down and get the number of the date, get the duration of the project itself. And secondly, you need to find out how long the vision you are championing will survive. Is this vision for 3 years? Is this vision for 10 years? Is this vision for my lifetime? This helps you to plan accordingly. For if you lay down a strong foundation, building a successful vision is easier. Creating plans around it is easier, but plans will have to dictate, plans will be dictated by the duration of the vision. So how long will the vision last in its entire life? You've got to know about that. You honestly have got to know about that. This project that you want to do, how far is it going to take you? In fact, once you have this, for some reason you're able to know if this is a big vision or a small vision, if it's something worth doing or not even worth doing in the first place. But we're assuming at the end of the day, we're assuming that your vision is a big vision and it's worth bothering about. So what do? You find out those 3 things. When is the start date? How long is the vision supposed to take? You find out how much time do you have for the vision to come to fruition. When are you going to start? How much time is it going to take for the vision to become to fruition? And how long is the duration of the vision even as you're living it? I don't care what kind of vision it is that you have. Once you have those 3 numbers in place, you are far much better than the guy who has a very beautiful and even very powerful, potent vision. We are told that the guys who do not have the wherewithal, the skills that we do have, they are doing stuff because they just started. They had these numbers in place and they just got going. So let us start by looking at these 3 numbers, these duration numbers. Attach those numbers to your vision immediately and get started. That is how your vision is going to start coming to fruition. Tomorrow we're going to discuss another kind of a number, which is also amorphous. Remember, these numbers, some of them you might not know to the mathematical constant, mathematical precision, so to speak, but they help you to get started. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.